This is News Tonight, and thank you very much for tuning in. The news broadcast is coming to you live from our studio, Platinum Place, Northridge here in Accra. We also stream live on Facebook at GHOne TV. Need I remind you that we also live on GoTV channel 179. My name is Joshua Nanakwame Ayira. Now, the decision by the Minister of Interior, Henry Quartey, to renew and enforce a curfew on the Alavanyo and Nkonya townships is causing fear and panic among the residents. According to multiple news reports, the new curfew hours from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. took effect on Sunday, May 19, 2024. The residents are highly anxious, lamenting that their social and economic livelihoods are severely impacted. What is particularly worrying and confusing is that for over 2 years, the two traditional areas have been at peace, with no resurgence of clashes. The stated reasons for renewing the curfew is considered false and misleading, hindering the development of both communities and instilling fear in those visiting home. The news of the curfew is also affecting the residents internally, as Canada has issued a communication advising its officers, staff, and NGOs to avoid the curfew areas. The paramount queen of the Alavanyo traditional area, Mamaga Ameto Hueboju II, has petitioned the Interior Ministry seeking a retraction of the publication and an apology to the people for the misleading information. Joining us live is the paramount queen of the Alavanyo traditional area, Mamaga Ameto Hueboju II, on the back of this development. Good evening, madam.
Good evening, my dear.
Thank you very much for making time with us.
Welcome.
Now, Mamaga, could you explain more about the tranquility that Nkonya and Alavanyo have had in the last 2 years and why you think the curfew renewal is needless?
Thank you very much. Nkonya and Alavanyo have been enjoying peace for the past 7 years. No exchange of bullets or any injury. And then we are in peace. We move to each other. Even this year, I was in Nkonya more than 5 times. Even this weekend, Nkonya man came to Alavanyo. Even a car gospel, nothing happened. So the Alavanyo and Nkonya have been enjoying peace for the past 7 years. No exchange of bullets. All of a sudden, they are placed curfew on us.
Did you, in any case, or did the paramountcy receive any reports of any potential threat within the two communities or municipalities from maybe the district assembly or the district coordinating security council?
We have never received any report or complaint from the district assembly or the police or the MUSEC or the RESEC. Even from the Ministry of Interior, no information, no visits. All of a sudden, before Easter, planning to celebrate our Easter, inviting people to come and grace the occasion and help us to develop the community. All of a sudden, curfew has placed in Alavanyo and Nkonya. This put fear and panic in people and refuse to come for the occasion.
Were there any prior announcement before the imposition of the curfew as it is required by law?
There's no prior announcement. We just saw it on the news.
So now it begs the question, what actions are you now taking, that is the Alavanyo Traditional Council taking to make sure that the Interior Ministry reacts or retracts rather the false curfew notification as you claim and acknowledges the tranquility in the region?
Yes, I personally went to the ministry to ask them why. And they are saying that's not the statement they issue. Here is the case, and they are claiming that the media misled them. And then if you look at the whole security in these countries, it's a problem to us. And the security, we are joking with our security in this country and mismanaging everything in this country. Curfew here does not mean anything to Ghanaians, but outside there, who are helping us to develop our economy or our Ghana here, take it serious. So we are pleading with the Ministry of Interior to really look at the case and reverse the statement because it's affecting us to develop our communities. The NGOs who are trying to help us are saying there's a curfew that they cannot come. There's a Nkunya side, the parliamentary candidate for NDC came with a Chinese to the community for them to plant cassava. All of a sudden, because of the curfew, they said they cannot do it. And they moved the business, the project to Pandoto. So we are pleading with them to reverse the curfew back. There's nothing going on in Alavanyo and in Nkunya. We are at peace. If something happens, it's a criminal issue. They should deal with a criminal issue. They should not come with political issue into this matter, which is affecting that. Over 100 years, we are tired. We are fed up. No reverse here. We are moving forward.
We appreciate your time. Thank you very much. You had Mamaga Ameto Hueboaju II, who is the Queen Mother, the paramount Queen Mother of the Alavanyo traditional area, still within the Volta and Uti region. Now, chiefs and people of the Atieme traditional area in the Akachi South municipality have denied any form of allegiance to the Aveno Traditional Council. The group at a press conference in the Dagbo Mate reaffirmed their continuous allegiance to the Awomefia of the Anglo state, indicating that they are a distinct traditional area from the Aveno traditional area and cannot be forced to pay allegiance to anyone other than the Awomefia.
Chiame traditional area was created in 2016 by the Awomefia of the Anglo state, Togbi III III, with a paramouncy headed by Togbi Samlafo IV. The traditional area was created together with the Aveno traditional area, headed by Togbi Doglo and Umar VI and 14 others. But the Chiame chiefs and elders at a press conference held at Dagbamate alleged a deliberate attempt by the Aveno Traditional Council to undermine their existence, a move they find offensive and unacceptable.
We have called this press conference because our attention has been drawn to a media release by Aveno Traditional Council, ATC, to the effect that Achiame traditional area does not exist. This media release was carried by many media houses, including the Ghanaian Times on 30th April 2024 and Opera News. We deem it expedient to respond and set the records straight. Achiame traditional area exists. The fact is the Awomefia and overlord of Anglo Togbi III III elevated 16 chiefs to paramount chief status, and that goes with their respective traditional areas, including Aveno and Achiame traditional areas in 2016. Therefore, the assertion that Achiame traditional area does not exist is factually inaccurate or incorrect.
According to the Achiame chiefs, they have an unalloyed allegiance to the Awomefia of the Anglo state and would not be forced to surrender same to any other person or authority.
It is very preposterous and repugnant for Togbi Doglo to posit that Togbi Samafo IV, Achiame Fiaga, is a sub-chief in Avenopema. This is nothing but sheer ignorance. There is no law in our statute books that people belonging to a common clan cannot be paramountcy and cannot have a traditional area. We, the Achiame people, are on our own land with our own deities, being Teli, Ganaji, and Amazwachi. Hence our uniqueness. It is all about identification of your people and fostering their development. It is unknowledgeable and untutored to hold the idea that a paramountcy in a traditional area cannot owe allegiance to another stool in a different traditional area, council, or region.
They have urged the chiefs of the Aveno Traditional Council to accord them the necessary recognition in order to ensure peace reigns in the Akachi South municipality forever.
Let's now bring you the biggest conversation on Insight. And on Insight tonight, what we seek to do is actually to explore the conversation on the SSNIT hotels sales, and of course, all the conversations and argument and counter-argument coming from all quarters within the political space and the labor market. Now, the labor analyst and member of the Pension Act's Draft Committee, Austin Game, has implored organized labor to take keen interest in persons that represent labor on the SSNIT board as he pushes for a reduction of the executive's composition of the board. Organized labor on Monday, May 20, 2024, demanded the immediate cancellation of ongoing processes for sale of 60% stake of some 4 SSNIT hotels to Agric Minister Dr. Brian Ichampo, alleging the current proposed terms differ from recommendation of transactions advisors. SSNIT has since justified its decision, insisting the process was transparent. But Austin Game, among other things, is asking for a reduction in the president's influence in appointment or appointing members onto the SSNIT board. He spoke with Adam Kojo with our research desk.
SSNIT, when we examined their books, we recognized that what ILO said recently was just exactly so. Even by 2007, we knew something was wrong, and we didn't want to embarrass the public. We didn't want SSNIT to go down the drain. Our assumption has been that things will change for the better for all of us. And so we've been trying to follow it gradually. Now, where we are, let me be very blunt with you. SSNIT has no business. In fact, the president should not have, to me, more than, not the president as a person, the presidency should, to me, not have more than 3 people on that board, because the president is not the owner of the money. The money does not belong to the states. But as a state, the state should have interest in the safety of such facilities. So I think that that is the first error. And second, organized labor should ensure that they find people who have the capacity and the real genuine capability of managing an investment portfolio, such a huge thing like that of SSNIT, so that they can be accounting to them and for all of us. Therefore, in this particular case, it does appear they said they demanded accountability, they demanded certain things, but it was not given to them, and that is why they are resisting. The information is that the accountability and responsibility aspect of this particular sale has not been done transparently in the manner in which, in their opinion, should be the case. Hence the resistance.
So that was Austin Game. Now, let's now have an understanding exactly of what the Pensions Act 766 states and the provisions it provides for such an entity to carry out such transactions. And Adam Kojo joins me in the studio with more on this particular development there. Adam.
Joshua, so as Austin Game said, he was part of those who sat down, drafted this policy in 2008. And this is the Act 766. Now, the Act 766 doesn't only cover the activities of SSNIT, that's the Social Security and National Insurance Trust. It also covers the activities of the NPRA, the National Pensions Regulatory Authority, who happens to be the mother body or the regulatory body of SSNIT. But basically, that's what the Act says. And this is the composition of the trust of the Board of Trustees. Remember, Austin Game says that from where he sits, or looking at how the pension scheme or the pension actually for the people and contributors, there's a need to reduce the influence of the president, and that the president should have no more than 3 nominees on the board. So let's go through and see who are the nominees on the board and what the constitution of the board is, the constitutes of the board are. So first off, the governing body of the trustees is consisting of a chairperson. Now, the chairperson is a nominee from the president. That's one. Then there's also B, 2 persons nominated by the president, at least one of whom is a woman. So right over here, you have 3 nominees from the president. Now, there are 2 representatives of Employers Association. Now, currently, we have the Ghana Employers Association, which is basically the association that caters for the welfare of private employees. 2 representatives there. So over here, we have so far 3 from government, 2 from labor. Now you come down, and D is 4 representatives of organized labor. Now, as you rightly said yesterday, organized labor stood up vehemently against this because, as you know, because a lot of the contributors are actually those in the public sector, organized labor has a chunk or one of the highest composition when it comes to those who contribute to SSNIT. And organized labor has 4 representatives. So now we have 3 from the presidency, 6 from labor or the contributor. Then there's 1 representative of the National Pensioners Association. This is somebody that's on retirement. So anybody that is receiving pension is actually a member of the National Pensioners Association, and the pensioners themselves nominate somebody. So this is actually supposed to be somebody who is actually a beneficiary of the scheme and who is interested in that the more the scheme survives, the more he is expected to receive, or she is expected to receive her pensions as she's retired. So that's another one in there. Now, there's 1 representative of the ministry responsible for finance, not below the rank of a director. Now, once it's from the Ministry of Finance, it will basically mean that this will be a representative or a nominee from the minister, which indirectly means that it is, by extension, a presidential nominee. Then there is 1 representative of the security services who is not a member of the Ghana Armed Forces, and then the Director General of the trust, who is also an appointee of the president. So if you look at this, out of the 14, the president has about 6 representatives in there. Labour has about 6 representatives in there. The National Pensioners Association have 1, and then ministry, and then the security forces also have 1. So currently, who are those on our board? We have first the board chair, Miss Elizabeth Ekwia-Ohene. Those who know Miss Elizabeth Ekwia-Ohene, she is an astute, a veteran journalist, and she worked with the Daily Graphic for a very long time. Then there is Dr. Emmanuel Edusa Akode, who is a rep from Ghana Employers Association. There is Mr. John Senanu Amegashi, Organized Labor. Joshua Ansah, who is Deputy Secretary of Organized Labor, also in there. There is Dr. Evans Ageme Jikum, Organized Labor. Miss Ivy Beto Naso, Organized Labor. Mr. Benjamin Odote Esumin, who is the rep from the Pensioners Association. Mr. Peter Osei Dia, President's nominee. Miss Gloria Irene Amaki, President's nominee. Miss Abuna Osei Asare, who is now the Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, who is the rep from the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning. There is Mr. Kofi Bosompe Mosafo-Mafu, who is now the Director General. And then there's a company secretary in there. So this is the composition. Now, I'll do 2 things and then we leave. Basically, Section 36 speaks about knowledge and understanding of the Board of Trustees. Now, Section 36 makes a very interesting case for people who ought to be put on the board. And it says, 1, a member of the Board of Trustees must, in relation to the Social Security Scheme, have knowledge and understanding of A, the Social Security law and any regulation made under it. B, any statement of investment policy for the time being maintained under Section 67 of this Act. C, any other policy document for the time being adopted by the Board of Trustees. Now it goes to 2. The degree of knowledge and understanding required of the Board of Trustees is that necessary to enable the individual to perform the functions as members of the Board of Trustees of the Social Security Scheme. And finally, the trust shall ensure that a member of the Board of Trustees acquires relevant knowledge. So this basically tells us that anybody that actually comes or is part on the board has to be somebody, must be somebody that has general knowledge. Now let's go back to the last part of it says any statement of investment policy for the time being maintained under Section 67. So we are jumping up to Section 67 because that's the section that speaks to investment of SSNIT. So we move to Section 67, which talk about the investment policies. It says the Board of Trustees shall ensure that a statement of investment policy is prepared and maintained for the Social Security Scheme, and the statement is reviewed and revised as necessary. It goes on to say, in preparing or revising a statement of investment policy, the Board of Trustees shall comply with guidelines issued by the authority in consultation with the Board of Trustees. And 3, a statement of investment policy shall include the following: A, investment objectives; B, types of securities and other assets that may be acquired; C, the balance between the different types of securities and other assets; D, risks in implementing the investment policy; and E, return expected in implementing the investment policy. So George, what basically tells us is that per Section 67 of the Act, it means that any form of investment that is done must be in line with this policy, and it must outline these various statements. The statement must outline all of this,
Right.
which in turn must be taken back to the Board of Trustees for approval. So it begs the question to say that, what then is the role of organized labor who had reps on there? Was there a submission of an investment policy leading up to the sale of these hotels? Did they have, and as a board, did they approve that investment policy that gave the go-ahead for there to be a divestiture in the assets of SSNIT by virtue of the hotel? And so these are some questions that come in. And most importantly, did SSNIT differ or move away from what was agreed in that investment policy which the board approved leading to this sale? So Josh, these are some of the issues that I believe organized labor must come and respond to.
Quite frankly, legitimate concerns and questions that we're putting out there, because now the questions that are coming up would be that, I mean, the level of transparency. And so if you hear the members of the organized labor equally demanding an immediate cancellation of this particular transaction, it actually premises its decision or its concerns on Section 67 of the Pensions Act 766 there, which we are actually putting out there, all on the back of the divesting of SSNIT 60% stake in 6 of its hotels. And this is what has raised the concerns. There are some legal arguments also coming in from other corteses with regard to the person involved here, that is the Agric Minister and the Abetifi MP, Dr. Brian de Champong, as to whether or not there was an issue of conflict of interest as it's enshrined in Chapter 24 of the 1992 Constitution, particularly Section 284, or does the new Company Act 992 give room or tolerate some space for a conflict of interest, given a caveat that would supposed to guide this whole transaction. In subsequent programs definitely will be getting some reactions on the back of that. But President of Imani Africa, Franklin Cudjoe, has lauded the decision by the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SSNIT, to divest its stake in 6 hotels. According to Imani, it is a sensible move. Franklin Cudjoe expressed approval of SSNIT's initiative to seek private sector participation or co-investment in hotels that is wholly owned but which are not operating efficiently. Published on Mr. Cudjoe's official Facebook page on Tuesday, May 21, he reiterated his support for the move, emphasizing that the agreed upon price for selling the 4 hotels is fair and reasonable. He believes this strategy will lead to a more effective utilization of resources. In his assessment, this decision will not only inject liquidity into SSNIT's operations, but will also reduce political interference in the management of these brick-and-mortar businesses. That does it for Insight. We still have some more local stories coming up next. And you welcome back to News Tonight with me, Joshua Nanakwame Ayira. Let's now take you to the House of Legislature. Now, the majority in Parliament has refuted claims by the minority counterpart of secret recruitment of NPP foot soldiers into the security services. The minority, through its leader, Dr. Kayayei Atoforsen, and ranking member for the Committee on Defence and Interior, James Agaga, alleged each NPP MP and parliamentary candidates have been allocated 30 slots for such recruitment. They argued the move is to compromise the security services ahead of the December 7 elections.
Each parliamentary candidate has been offered 30 slots, 5 for each of the security services, the 6 of them. 5 for police, 5 for immigration, 5 for fire service, 5 for army, 5 for air force, and 5 for prisons. But let me say, so if it is 30 times 275 constituencies, is 8,250 NPP foot soldiers disguised as police personnel going into an election. First of all, I wish to ask, what is the motive? Recruiting them 6 months into the elections. I mean, I'm concerned. When all is said and done, we have a country to protect. But you can politicize everywhere, but dare not politicize the security services. But where the country is going is a matter of concern to us. And that is why we are raising the concerns now.
So that was an earlier presser held by the Minority Caucus yesterday. But in a sharp rebuttal, Deputy Majority Leader Patricia Kayayei described the claims as baseless, arguing the government does not have the financial capability to pay such huge numbers in the first place. According to the Asokwa MP, the ongoing recruitment is clearing the backlog of past applications.
By Dr. Atofose, the minority leader, are a deliberate distortion of reality and a malicious fabrication aimed at undermining the integrity of the government. Such allegations serve only to provoke unwarranted tensions and foster an environment of mistrust and political rivalry that our country does not need. Our respected Interior Minister, the Honorable Korte, has already outlined the government's recruitment strategy, which focuses on giving a second chance to qualified Ghanaians who previously applied but were not selected. This approach is not only fair, but also thoughtful, avoiding unnecessary financial burdens on applicants by not reopening the recruitment process widely. We urge the minority to refrain from spreading misinformation and to respect the intelligence of the Ghanaian public.
This is still news tonight. I will bring you some more local stories now. The former special prosecutor, Martin Amidu, has in a latest statement taken a swipe yet again at Kayayei Ejabeng, accusing his successor of deceiving Ghanaians that he is saving the nation millions of Ghana cedis of the public purse through the payroll audit with the Comptroller and Accountant General's Department. Martin Amidu, who described Kayayei Ejabeng as engaging in propaganda, said he should rather confess to Ghanaians with his contribution to suspected commission of several specified corruption and corruption-related offences under Section 79 of the Special Prosecutor Act 2017 Act 959, since his assumption to office before the law catches up with him. In view of the Amidu cited in his statement issued on Monday, May 20th, 2024, the report released by the Office of the Special Prosecutor on the payroll audit is nauseating. Now, the Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, has revealed plans are far advanced to train headquarters, popularly known as Kayayei, in driving. Speaking at the launch of the Kayayei Empowerment Program at Medina in Accra, Dr. Bawumia indicated that discussions are ongoing with state transport operators to equip the headquarters with driving skills. According to him, the initiative is to offer these vulnerable people who migrated from the north decent jobs and sustainable livelihoods.
To train a total of 5,000 girls this year, both residential and non-residential. In addition to the strides already made, I am thrilled to announce that discussions are ongoing with Metro Mass and Ayalolo to teach them driving. It is possible. Furthermore, we are in talks to provide them also with ICT training. These partnerships will further expand horizons of the Kayayei Empowerment Program, offering even more avenues for skills development and economic empowerment.
Adepa Brago, diagnosed with tetralogy of Fallot, hangs in the balance as she needs an urgent heart surgery within the next 6 months or risk losing her life. The rare heart condition caused by a combination of 4 heart defects from birth causes poor flow of oxygen to the blood, heart, and the rest of the body, leading to blood clot, heart failure, and even death. Awizedede has more in this report.
This was Adepa Brago at 3 months old, suffering from one of her episodes, which are medically known as TET spells. This moment describes one of the numerous episodes she has endured till now. She suffers from tetralogy of Fallot, a congenital heart defect. Intermittent blockage of blood flow from her heart to her lungs causes the shortness of breath, turning her fair skin to a pale color. This usually happens when she cries, feeds, or becomes restless.
I want to feel like I'm doing something for my daughter. This is the only thing I can do for her. Try and look for help for her. If I can't get the help for her, then I'm going to lose her.
Tetralogy of Fallot includes 4 conditions: narrowing of the valve between the heart and the lungs, called pulmonary valve stenosis, a hole between the bottom heart chambers called ventricular septal defect, shifting of the body's main artery that changes how blood flows to the lungs, and thickening of the right lower chamber of the heart. At 4 months old, Adepa suffered all these, leading to an urgent first surgery.
They know she will have test spell, but not this extreme. And it's not stopping because she's only fine when she's asleep. When she's not asleep, she's in a spell. So they scheduled an emergency surgery. Friday, she was sent to the ICU. They did the surgery. Her lips that had become dark suddenly turned pink. And her color just became fair.
Although the exact cause of this condition remains unknown, risk factors like family history, having German measles during pregnancy, drinking alcohol, smoking, or eating poorly during pregnancy can lead to that. Left with less than 6 months for her second surgery to correct the defect, Adepa's life hangs in a balance. Her mother pleads for financial support to save her daughter.
If the second surgery is not done, she will revert to her old condition and she would even get worse. And eventually she will die. When she runs around a bit, when she comes to you, you see her nails, the color have changed. She's very hyper now. She's very active now. My daughter needs financial support to do her surgery. I cannot afford it. We have less than 6 months to keep her alive.
And until a miraculous intervention, the $15,000 surgery is the only way to keep Asida alive. For GHOne News, Awisi Dede Jange Bonkantamanso.
Say hello.
Rather a heart-wrenching tale there. Now we're appealing to you and, of course, anyone watching, institutions, individuals, that you help Adepa to actually survive this particular phase. And it's rather too much for her to bear and, of course, for the mother. This is still News Tonight. Take you back to the camp of the Vice President, where Dr. Bawumia has commissioned an ultra-modern skill development center and hostel facility to equip headquarters, popularly known as Kayayei, for decent job opportunities for sustainable livelihoods. The initiative under the Kayayei Empowerment Program and spearheaded by the Youth Employment Agency is aimed to house about 5,000 young men and girls and train them in beading and jewelry, soap and detergent making, makeup artistry, pedicure, manicure and nails, among others. Speaking at the launch of the training facility located in Medina in the Lankwantana municipality, Dr. Bawumia noted that the innovative is in line with the government's commitment to providing job opportunities for marginalized and vulnerable citizens.
The provision of post-training support and implementation of a track and trace model serves as the linchpin of the program's efficacy, with participants receiving starter packs tailored to facilitate their seamless integration into new economic opportunities and further ensure the beneficiaries do not return to being headquarters. This unwavering commitment to ongoing support is buttressed by a robust framework of continuous monitoring and evaluation, ensuring dynamic program enhancement and personalized assistance for further education and entrepreneurial endeavors. The program's infrastructure boasts the establishment currently of 2 hostels. Other hostels are under construction in the Ashanti region and the Bono East regions, each meticulously designed to accommodate and cater to the needs of 300 girls. The hostels are equipped with modern training facilities, sanitary washrooms, bathing areas, and exemplify our unwavering commitment to safeguarding the dignity and well-being of all participants.
Let's now bring you some business stories. Now, Ghana's crude oil production has seen a significant decline for the 4th consecutive year at an annual average rate of 9.2%, while earnings fell from $1.43 billion in 2022 to $1.06 billion in 2023, representing a 25.65%. Now, the decline in production and receipt is being attributed to mainly global slump in oil prices and drop in local production for all oil fields. This was contained in the 2023 annual report of the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC.
Key finding by the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, indicates that crude oil production dropped from a high of 71.44 million barrels in 2019 to 48.25 million barrels in 2023. According to PIAC, in its 2023 annual report, the country has not signed any new petroleum agreement since 2018, and the Jubilee Oil Holding Limited has also not transferred liftings received in 2023, amounting to $70.4 billion, were not paid into the Petroleum Holding Fund for the 2nd consecutive year.
The cumulative petroleum receipts at the end of 2023 was $9.85 billion. The receipts rose steadily from 2011 to 2014, with a decline first witnessed in 2015 and 2016, primarily due to a drop in crude oil prices. The highest petroleum receipts in a single year was in 2022.
The report further observed that the country has not signed any agreement since 2018. The committee therefore recommends that the government and the relevant regulatory bodies should take the appropriate steps to reverse production decline in existing fields and ensure investments in unexploited fields.
This is the onus rests on the government. And whether there will be oil agreement signed or not depends on so many factors. So it is for the government to seize the opportunity to see what it can do after studying our report to make sure that the oil that is declining, we can find some unexploited fields so that these unexploited fields can also be brought up into production to give us some more revenue.
The 2023 annual report covers the period January to December 2023 and includes a broad range of issues relating to petroleum revenue management, such as information on production, liftings, total revenues accruing and allocation by government, ABFA utilization, and the management of the funds set aside in the Ghana Petroleum Funds, Ghana Stabilization Fund, and the Ghana Heritage Fund.
Now, as part of its social impact programs, a leading insurance provider in the country, Star Life Assurance, in partnership with the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, GPCC, in marking 2024 Mother's Day, have donated assorted medical supplies to support the maternity ward and nursing mothers of Mana Mission Hospital at Teshi here in Accra. The director of the development and people at the facility, Linda Ablo, expressed the hospital's profound gratitude to the donors for their kind gesture, saying the items will go a long way in helping deliver quality health care to patients. She used the occasion and called on individuals and corporate organizations to emulate the gesture as health forms a crucial aspect of human life.
It's Star Life in collaboration with GPCC has come to give us syringes, picks, detergents, gauzes, and so much more to the hospital. They have come to be a blessing unto us. They gave us bed sheets as well. So these are items that would go a long way to help the facility do what we do best and also be a blessing unto our patients. I would like to say to Star Life Assurance and GPCC that this is a beautiful collaboration that should be emulated by a lot of the organizations so that they can go out there and reach out to facilities like us. We don't get a lot of government subvention, so this will go a long way to help the facility serve our patients. Way to be a blessing unto us. Most of these things would have to buy from our IGF, which costs a lot of money, so we are grateful for the donation.
Now, do for business. We'll take a breather. When we return, we'll bring you some more local stories, of course. This is still your election hub. We'll still bring you some more local stories relative to election. Now, the National Commission for Civic Education, NCCE, is urging Ghanaians to guard against increasing monetization of politics, spread of fake news during elections, and use of violence for political power. The Commission disclosed this during a civic education exercise aimed at addressing potential threats to the country's democracy.
The National Commission for Civic Education, NCCE Civic Education exercise, was targeted at equipping the youth, particularly new voters with knowledge and capacity, to reject being financially induced to sell their civic rights, as well as the politics of division to trigger chaos and destruction. The civic education, through dialogue, engaged stakeholders such as the civil society groups, faith-based organizations, independent government institutions, among others, to prevent violence before, during, and after the elections. The chairperson of the NCCE, Caitlin Addy, underscored the significance in decentralizing the governance system to include the district level for peaceful elections as the country gears up towards the December 7 polls.
This is just to announce to Ghanaians that we have started that process. If you fall in any of the categories of people who normally participate in IPDCs, we call on you to ensure that, please, when the call comes for you to attend the meetings, you do us the honor of attending the meetings. The IPDCs include representatives from political parties, from faith-based institutions, local government, traditional rulers, other party organs, particularly youth wings and campus wings and all of that.
She further urged the media not to provide a platform for politicians to hate speech against each other.
We bring you some international stories. Now, a court in Mali has sentenced economist Etienne Fakaba Sissoko to 2 years in prison with 1 year suspended for criticizing the military junta in his book. Sissoko lawyer Ibrahim Mahouf Soko, announced the verdict and plans to appeal. Sissoko, a professor at the University of Bamako, forced charges of harming the state's reputation, defamation, and spreading misinformation for his 2023 book on government communication during Mali's transition. Now, that does it for the bulletin. Many thanks for your company. To come your way again with some more news items, please do enjoy a bit of our program. My name is Joshua Ayira. Have a good evening.